بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Today is Sunday and inshallah we'll continue our halaqah on Riyadh Al Saliheen from the chapter of Tawakkul, depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يقول إمام النووي رحمه الله تعالى وعن أنس رضي الله عنه قال كان أخوان على عهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أحدهما يأتي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والآخر يحترف فشكى المحترف أخاه للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لعلك ترزق منه لا تدري لعلك ترزق منه. This hadith is narrated by Anas radiallahu anhu, and he mentioned his story many times. He narrates this incident that took place at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the story is of two brothers. These two brothers, one of them was a businessman, one of them had his own career, one of them was the earner, one of them was the breadwinner of the family, and the other one was a student of knowledge, a full-time dedicated student of knowledge who would go to the Prophet ﷺ and study and listen and attend his classes and ask him and increase his knowledge and so on and so forth. And the student of knowledge was completely dependent on his brother financially. His other brother, who was a businessman, he was the one who was taking care of the student of knowledge financially. Meaning, he had completely freed his time, no responsibility. You don't have to take care of the family, you don't have to take care of yourself, nothing. I'll take care of you. And the other brother, who was a student of knowledge, had completely dedicated his time to study with the Prophet ﷺ. But what it seems like, that after a while, it got a little bit difficult on one of the brothers. The brother who was spending, who was financially responsible, it got a little bit difficult on him. So he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, Ya Rasulullah, like, look at my brother. He's an adult, he's physically capable of earning, and yet he doesn't earn. Yet he is spending all his time studying with you, learning about Islam and increasing his knowledge. It was kind of, indicating or alluding to the Prophet ﷺ, maybe you can talk to him and he can spend some of his time earning money and helping me out a little bit. And, he can spend the rest of his time learning with you. But the Prophet ﷺ had a very interesting answer. And he said, you may not know that you may be earning because you are spending on your brother. The reason why you are successful in your business, in your career, in your job, or whatever it may be, is because you are taking care of your brother. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing you. Giving sadaqah and taking care of poor people, we all know, that is a very strong way to increase barakah and to increase your wealth in general. But there are levels of sadaqah, and we've talked about this many times. That one of the greatest, actually the Prophet ﷺ mentions the greatest type of sadaqah is that when you spend on your family members, when you take care of those who are related to you biologically. And this is not confined to, when we say spending on family, usually the people who come to our mind are my spouse and my children. But that's not what, the sunnah tells us. It extends to your siblings, it extends to your parents, to your grandparents, to your uncles, to your cousins, to your grandparents' brothers, whoever it may be. You're able to help them out, you're able to host them, you're able to send gifts to them. That is a great way of earning sadaqah. That is a great way of increasing barakah in your wealth. And we also know that taking care of religious people, especially students of knowledge, who have that desire, who have that, that himmah, that courage to completely dedicate, that zeal to completely dedicate their time in learning Islam. They'll travel abroad, they will live in difficult situations, they will stay away from their family members just for the sake of learning Islam and increasing their knowledge. Those people always need help. Those people always need some kind of financial help. And taking care of them is a way that you are facilitating them learning knowledge. You are a facilitator that they will one day be an imam in their community. They will one day be a scholar in their community. They will one day be a vessel of knowledge, a source of knowledge. And you will get the ajr of all of that bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. So that's also a great source of ajr. Now this person had the opportunity to combine both. Not only was he helping a student of knowledge, but he was also helping his own brother. So the Prophet ﷺ is telling him that this is not any type of sadaqah that you're giving. This is one of the best types of sadaqah, that you have multitudes of barakah in one sadaqah that you are giving. Many of times we tend to forget that family members are more than our wife and our spouses and our children. It extends to more than that. It extends to our in-laws. Many of times someone is very, very careful in spending on his in-laws when he takes them out for food or when he buys them gifts. They're very on the bottom of their list, if they're on the list in the first place. And that is not from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to send gifts to his wife's friends, not even family members. His wife's friends would receive gifts from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Khadija radiallahu anha's friends, they would receive gifts after she had passed away. So one of the greatest ways of increasing your wealth, increasing barakah in your wealth, is look out for your family members, host them, take care of them, send gifts to them, and whatever in your capability you are able to, host them, make them feel loved, make them feel that there is this harmonious relationship that you have with them, bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. And even your kids, when they're growing up and they see that you are taking care of your in-laws, their grandparents, their respect for you will increase. That my father was taking care of my grandparents used to take care of me, my grandparents always showed me love, and my father showed love to people who showed me love. So there will be a very strong bond between the children and the father, bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal as well. I know of this one person who doesn't come from a religious background. He used to tell me that his parents did not pray, and he growing up did not pray. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him in his business, that he was able to earn and build a very successful business. Not extremely successful, somewhat of a successful business. And he would always take care of his siblings. His siblings would always be taken care of by him. Whoever from his siblings needed help, his sister, his brothers, he would take care of them. Anyone needed money, he would send money. This person comes from a background that is poor, and comes from a background that is not educated, and comes from a background that does not pray at all. He mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He blessed him with children, He blessed him with children that some of them turned out to be imams. I know one of those imams. He mentions the story about his father. And all of his children are very well educated. All of his children are very well versed in Islamic studies, in Islamic fundamentals. And they are also very well successful and established in their own businesses in their fields. Whoever took on the route of business, they're very successful. And he says, the only thing that makes sense to me, because logical, this does not make sense. For me to come from a non-educated background, non-religious background, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me this complete opposite in my children. The only thing that makes sense to me is that I took care of my siblings whenever they needed me. Whenever they asked for help, I would take care of them. Even his in-laws, he would take care of him. His brother-in-law, his sister-in-law, his father-in-law, whenever they needed help, he would go and help them in whatever capacity he could. And he never would ask them, how much do you need? Why do you need this? Whatever amount they asked, he would just send that money and take care of his family members. And he mentions, this is the only thing that I know. He himself still struggles to read the Quran. But his children, some of them are huffaz, some of them are imams, some of them are scholars, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed his family immensely. I know of another person, I don't know him very well, I just heard about him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him to the point that he makes 6 figures per month. He makes 6 figures per month. And he mentions that one of the strongest feelings I feel that I am blessed is whenever Eid comes, I go out of my way, and anyone in my family member, even extended family members, receive an envelope with a generous gift. And I make it a priority in my life. On every Eid, I'll go out of my way. Whoever I can meet, I will give them in person. Whoever I cannot meet, I will make sure that I mail that gift to them. It could be cash, it could be a gift, whatever it may be. And he said, every year I even up my game. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses me more, I give more to my family members. I give more and more to my family members. He says, it's like as if you're opening up a faucet, a tap of water, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing you with wealth in that same way. This is the way he described it. That is like as if water, as if barakah has been poured into my wealth every time I give to my family members. And this hadith is a kind of a dalil, a proof that the Prophet ﷺ said that you do not know that you may be earning through your brother. And we know the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he narrated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, O son of Adam, spend and I will spend on you. Give to others and I will give to you bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us in our wealth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us in our families, our health, our wealth, and all our affairs. affairs. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify our wealth. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make those who spend in His way in ways that please Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reunite us in the gardens of Jannah with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family members and his companions, just the way He gathered us in His beautiful masjid. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.